Hello there! Today I'm making just a really quick video on how you can use 2 points to help you graph a line. So let's get started with an example. In this example, we've been told to graph the line y equals 14 minus 1.25x. And we have a graphing space presented to us on the right-hand side here where we can graph. Now, there are a lot of different techniques that you can use to graph a line like this one, but this particular method I'm going to show will work the best for us in our statistics class. So one way to graph a line is by finding any 2 points that are on the line and then connecting them, which is easier said than done maybe. One of the troubles with this technique is that you have a whole lot of freedom, and freedom in math really often translates to What am I doing? How did you know how to do that? So here's the scoop. You pick any number for x. Pick any number for x and plug it in. It doesn't matter what number you pick. So I'm going to pick 0 because I can pick any number I want and I want to pick 0. Nah. So I pick x to be 0 and now I'm going to substitute that into my equation. So I have y equals 14 minus 1.25 times 0, because I put 0 in for x. And now I just simplify. So I have to follow my order of operations. 1.25 times 0 is going to give me 0, and 14 minus 0 gives me 14. So that's our first step. I just picked a number for x, and then I found its corresponding y. To graph the line, now I have to graph the point when the x value is 0 and the y value is 14. Oh, I have a problem here, because when I go to graph the 14, my graph only goes up to 10. So this is one of the problems with having that freedom of choice to choose whatever number you want. Because I picked 0, I didn't do anything wrong here, guys. I picked 0 and I got 14. And the problem that happened is my graph doesn't go that high. So all that means is I have to say, well, that was some fun math, but now I got to do some more. So it just means I can't use this point. I got to find another one. So again, you can pick any number for x. You can pick 1, you can pick 1,000. I wouldn't recommend 1,000 because if I look at my grid, it goes from 0 to 10. So I want to pick a number between 0 and 10. I'm going to pick 4. Again, no special reason. If you wanted to pick 3, if you wanted to pick 1, you can. It's up to you. Okay, so you have a lot of choice here. So I'm going to pick 4 because I like 4. I don't know. And I'm going to substitute it into the equation. And I get 14 minus 1.25 times 4. Again, I got to follow my order of operations. So I used my calculator to figure out 1.25 times 4. And that gave me 5. And then 14 minus 5 will give me 9. All right, this is excellent because 9 is between 0 and 10, so I can graph this point. I'm going to graph the point when x is 4 and when y is 9. So I'm going to go over 4 and up 9, and there's my point. Right? So that's my point, 4, 9. Hooray! I have 1 point on my line. In order to graph a line, I need 2 points on the line. So I'm going to keep going. Now I get to pick any other number for x, and hopefully I find something that's going to work. So I think I picked 6 next. Yeah, I said, okay, let's pick 6. Why not? So I picked 6 and I'm going to substitute that into the equation. All right, this is old hat now. I'm going to throw that into my calculator, and 1.25 times 6 was 7.5, and then I ended up getting 6.5. Yeah, this is not a great point. I'm going to work with it. The reason I said it's not a great point is because it's a decimal, but 0.5 is a half, so it's not the worst decimal it could be, right? So to graph 6.5, I just have to go halfway between the line for 6 and the line for 7. So my x number is 6, my y number is 6.5. So I'm going to go over to 6 on the horizontal axis, and then I go up 6.5, and there's my point, 6.5. All you need in order to graph a line are 2 points. So we have 2 points. This is great. Now I can connect them. with a big, nice long line. I want to make sure this line fills the whole space as much as possible. And there we go. Then we're done. Now, I do want to point out that earlier when we made like a scatter plot or when we were just graphing points, we did not connect them. So if you're told just to graph points, you don't connect the points. The reason we're connecting them on this example is because it didn't tell us graph points. It said graph the line. So because we're graphing a line, that means we have to connect our points to make this line. Now, if you wanted to stop here, you could, but I wanted to show you two things. I wanted to show you one, what to do if you didn't want to graph that decimal. And two, I wanted to show you proof that it, honest to God, does not matter what points you pick. So I'm going to pretend I didn't like that 6.5. So just like that point when I picked x equaling 0, I couldn't use because it's off the chart, maybe when x is 6, I didn't want to use because it was going to be a pain to graph. I wasn't sure how to graph it. So I'm going to pick yet another value for x. I have freedom of choice. I'm going to choose another number. So this time I'm going to choose the number 8. So I'm going to say, what happens if x is 8? Well, I throw it into my formula, 14 minus 1 1/4 times 8. Use my calculator to help me out, and 1 1/4 times 8 is 10, and then 14 minus 10 is 4. All right, this is fabulous. This time I get a nice number to graph. So this is the point I'm going to graph instead. So I'm going to go over to 8, and then I go up to 4, and I plot the point 8, 4. Now I have two nice points for my graph, so I can connect them, and that's another way that I can graph my line. Make sure again when you connect your points, you fill the whole space. I also should have mentioned before, but I did not, so I'll mention it now, that you should make sure you have arrows on either side of your line to indicate that the arrow goes on forever, or the line goes on forever. And now I'm done. So instead of using the point when x was 6 to graph the line, I could use the point when x was 8 to graph the line. And guys, here's the really cool part. Here's the part where I show you it didn't matter what x values we picked. We would get exactly the same line. Because what I'm going to do is I'm just going to throw that blue dot back up there. That was the point we plotted before when we had the point 6 and 6.5. And notice whether I connect the red dot to the blue dot or whether I connect the red dot to the green dot, we get exactly the same line. Heck, I could have just done the blue dot and the green dot and gotten exactly the same line. So it doesn't matter what number you pick for x. You have freedom of choice. You can pick whatever you want. But with that freedom comes some complications. You might get a point that's off your space, like we did when we had 0, or you might get a decimal number like we did when we picked 6. So just make sure you adjust accordingly and you should be fine. All right, that's going to wrap it up for this video on how to graph a line with 2 points. I hope it helped, and I hope you have a fantastic day.